Lynn Wright, September 7, 1964 to March 26, 1995, known professionally as Eazy-E, was an American rapper who propelled West Coast rap and gangsta rap by leading the group N.W.A. and its label, Ruthless Records. He is often referred to as the godfather of gangsta rap. Born and raised in Compton, California, Wright had several legal troubles before founding Ruthless in 1987. After a short solo career with frequent collaboration with Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, they joined, forming N.W.A. later that year. N.W.A's debut studio album, Straight Outta Compton, was released in 1988. Controversial upon release, it is now ranked among the greatest and most influential albums ever. The group released its second and final studio album, Niggas for Life, in 1991, and soon after disbanded. During N.W.A's splintering, largely by disputes over money, Eazy-E became embroiled in bitter rivalries with Ice Cube and Dr. Dre, who had departed for solo careers in 1989 and 1991, respectively. Resuming his solo career, Eazy-E released 2 EPs, yet he remained more significant behind the scenes, signing and nationally debuting the rap group Bone Thugs-n-Harmony from 1993 to 1994. Personal life and death. Wright had a son, Eric Darnell Wright, known as Lil Eazy-E, in 1984. He also had a daughter named Erin, who changed her name to Eazy-E in October 2016. Eazy-E launched a crowdfunding campaign to produce a film called Ruthless Scandal, No More Lies, to investigate her father's death. It ended unsuccessfully in December 2016. Wright met Tamika Woods at a Los Angeles nightclub in 1991 and they married on March 14, 1995, 12 days before his death. They had a son named Dominic and a daughter named Deja, born 6 months after Wright's death. After Wright's death, Ruthless was taken over by his wife. According to Jerry Heller, Wright had 11 children with 8 women. Illness and death. Now, I'm in the biggest fight of my life and it ain't easy. But I want to say much love to those who have been down with me and thanks for all your support. Just remember, it's your real time and your real life. Statement from Eazy-E's camp on his behalf, March 16. On February 24, 1995, Wright was admitted to the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles with a violent cough. He was diagnosed with HIV/AIDS. He announced his illness in a public statement on March 16. It is believed Wright contracted the infection from a sexual partner. During the week of March 20, having already made amends with Ice Cube, he drafted a final message to his fans. On March 26, Eazy-E died from AIDS-induced pneumonia, 1 month after his diagnosis. He was 30 years old. Most reports at the time said he was 31 due to the falsification of his date of birth by 1 year. He was buried on April 7 at Rose Hills Memorial Park in Whittier, California. Over 3,000 people attended his funeral, including Ice Cube and DJ Yella. He was buried in a gold casket and was dressed in a flannel shirt, jeans, and his Compton hat. His final album, STR8 Off the Streets of Motherfucking Compton, was released 10 months after his death, on January 30, 1996. Early life and Ruthless Records investment. Eric Wright was born to Richard and Kathy Wright on September 7, 1964, in Compton, California, a Los Angeles suburb once noted for high crime rates and gang culture. His father was a postal worker and his mother was a grade school administrator. Wright dropped out of high school in the 10th grade, but later received a general equivalency diploma, GED. No one survived on the streets without a protective mask. No one survived naked. You had to have a role. You had to be thug, playa, athlete, gangsta, or dope man. Otherwise, there was only one role left to you, victim. Jerry Heller on Eazy-E. Wright supported himself mainly by selling drugs, and introduced his cousin to the illicit occupation. Wright's music manager Jerry Heller recalls seeing Wright selling marijuana, but not cocaine. Heller would claim that Wright's dope dealer label was part of his self-forged armor. Wright was also labeled as a thug. Heller explains, the hood where he grew up was a dangerous place. He was a small guy. Thug was a role that was widely understood on the street. It gave you a certain level of protection in the sense that people hesitated to fuck with you. Likewise, dope dealer was a role that accorded you certain privileges and respect. In 1986, at age 22, Wright had allegedly earned as much as $250,000 from dealing drugs. However, after his cousin was shot and killed, he decided that he could make a better living in the Los Angeles hip-hop scene, which was growing rapidly in popularity. That he started recording songs during the mid-1980s in his parents' garage, thus starting Ruthless Records. The original idea for Ruthless Records came when Wright asked Heller to go into business with him. Wright suggested a half-ownership company, but it was later decided that Wright would get 80% of the company's income and Heller would only get 20%. According to Heller, he told Wright, "Every dollar comes into Ruthless, I take 20 cents. That's industry standard for a manager of my caliber. I take 20, you take 80%. I am responsible for my expenses and you're responsible for yours. You own the company. I work for you." Along with Heller, Wright invested much of his money into Ruthless Records. Heller claims that he invested the first $250,000 and would eventually put up to $1 million into the company. Musical career. N.W.A. and Eazy-E, 1986 to 1991. N.W.A's, also named as the world's most dangerous group, original lineup consisted of Arabian Prince, Dr. Dre, Eazy, and Ice Cube. DJ Yella and MC Ren joined later. The compilation album N.W.A and the Posse was released on November 6, 1987, and would go on to be certified gold in the United States. The album featured material previously released as singles on the Macola Records label, which was responsible for distributing the releases by N.W.A and other artists like the Feel a Fresh Crew, a West Coast rap group originally based in Dallas, Texas. Eazy-E's debut album, Eazy-E, was released in 1988 and featured 12 tracks. It was labeled as West Coast hip-hop, gangsta rap and, later, as Golden Age hip-hop. It has sold over 2.5 million copies in the United States and reached number 41 on the Billboard 200. The album was produced by Dr. Dre and DJ Yella and largely written by MC Ren, Ice Cube, and the D.O.C. Both Glenn Boyd from the Seattle Post-Intelligencer and MTV's John Wiederhorn claimed that Eazy-E paved the way for N.W.A's most controversial album, Straight Outta Compton. Wright's only solo in the album was a remix of the song 8 Ball, which originally appeared on N.W.A and the Posse. The album featured Wright's writing and performing. He performed on 7 songs and helped write 4 songs. Ice Cube left N.W.A in 1989 because of internal disputes, and the group continued as a 4-piece ensemble. N.W.A released 100 Miles and Runnin' in 1990 and Niggas for Life in 1991. A diss war started between N.W.A and Ice Cube when 100 Miles and Runnin' and Real Niggas were released. Ice Cube responded with No Vaseline on Death Certificate. Wright performed on 7 of the 18 songs on Niggas for Life. In March 1991, Wright accepted an invitation to a lunch benefiting the Republican Senatorial Inner Circle, hosted by then U.S. President George H.W. Bush. A spokesman for the rapper said that Eazy supported Bush because of his performance in the Gulf War. End of N.W.A and feud with Dr. Dre, 1991 to 1994. N.W.A began to split up after Jerry Heller became the band's manager. Dr. Dre recalls, the split came when Jerry Heller got involved. He played the divide and conquer game. Instead of taking care of everybody, he picked one nigga to take care of, and that was Eazy. And Eazy was like, "I'm taken care of, so fuck it." Dr. Dre and the D.O.C. sent Suge Knight to look into Eazy's financial situation as they began to grow suspicious of Eazy and Jerry Heller. Dr. Dre and the D.O.C. asked Eazy to release them from Ruthless, but Eazy refused. The impasse led to what reportedly transpired between Suge Knight and Eazy at the recording studio where Niggas for Life was recorded. After he refused to release Dr. Dre and the D.O.C., Suge Knight told Eazy that he had kidnapped Jerry Heller and was holding him prisoner in a van. This did not convince Eazy to release Dr. Dre and the D.O.C. from Ruthless, and Suge Knight threatened Eazy's family. Suge Knight gave Eazy a piece of paper that contained Eazy's mother's address, telling him, "I know where your mama stays." Eazy finally signed Dr. Dre and the D.O.C.'s releases, officially ending N.W.A. In 1993, Eazy-E regularly attended court in the prosecution of the officers involved in the beating of Rodney King, often standing alongside Theodore J. Briseño, who he had met through sharing the same lawyer. Eazy-E said, "The difference is that most people look at the video and say 4 white officers were responsible for the beating of this helpless, innocent black man. I say, wrong. 3 white officers were responsible for beating Rodney King. The other officer, Theodore J. Briceño, happens to be Mexican-American, and he tried to stop them. This caused controversy in the hip-hop community, with Willie D calling Eazy-E a sellout. The feud with Dr. Dre continued after a track on Dre's debut album The Chronic, Fuck With Dre Day, and Everybody's Celebratin', contained lyrics that insulted Eazy-E. Eazy responded with the EP, It's On, Dr. Dre, 187 Killa, featuring the tracks Real Motherfuckin' G's and It's On. The album, which was released on October 25, 1993, contains pictures of Dre wearing lacy outfits and makeup when he was a member of the electro-hop world-class Wrecking Crew. Musical influences and style. AllMusic cites Eazy's influences as Ice-T, Red Fox, King T, Bootsy Collins, Run DMC, Richard Pryor, Egyptian Lover, Schoolie D, Too Short, Prince, The Sugar Hill Gang, and George Clinton. In the documentary The Life and Times of Eric Wright, Eazy mentions collaborating with many of his influences. When reviewing STR8 Off the Streets of Motherfucking Compton, Stephen Thomas Erlewine noted, Eazy sounds revitalized, but the music simply isn't imaginative. Instead of pushing forward and creating a distinctive style, it treads over familiar gangsta territory, complete with bottomless bass, whining synthesizers, and meaningless boasts. When reviewing Eazy Does It, Jason Birchmeier of AllMusic said, in terms of production, Dr. Dre and Yella meld together P-Funk, Def Jam-style hip-hop and the leftover electro sounds of mid-80s Los Angeles, creating a dense, funky, and thoroughly unique style of their own. Birchmeier described Eazy's style as dense, unique and funky, and said that it sounded absolutely revolutionary in 1988. Several members of N.W.A. wrote lyrics for Eazy Does It, Ice Cube, The D.O.C. and MC Ren. The EP 5150, Home for the Sick features a song written by Naughty by Nature. The track Merry Motherfucking Christmas features N.W.A, Buckwheat, and Atban Clan as guest vocalists, and Neighborhood Sniper features Kokani as a guest vocalist. That's On, Dr. Dre, 187 Killa features several guest vocalists, including Gangsta Dresta, BG Knockout. Kokani, Cold 187 Rhythm D, and Dirty Red. STR8 Off the Streets of Motherfucking Compton featured several guest vocalists, including BG Knockout, Gangsta Dresta, Silky Fine, Dirty Red, N.W.A, Roger Troutman, and N.W.A members MC Ren and DJ Yella. Legacy. Graffiti of Eazy in Leeuwarden, Netherlands. Eazy has been called the godfather of gangsta rap. MTV's Reed Shaheem said that Eazy was a rap pioneer, and he is sometimes cited by critics as a legend. Steve Huey of AllMusic said that he was one of the most controversial figures in gangsta rap. Since his 1995 death, many book and video biographies have been produced, including 2002's The Day Eazy Died in Dead and Gone. When Eazy was diagnosed with AIDS, many magazines like Jet, Vibe, Billboard, The Crisis, and Newsweek covered the story and released information on the topic. All of his studio albums and EPs charted on the Billboard 200, and many of his singles, Eazy Does It, We Want Eazy, Real Motherfuckin' G's, and Just to Let You Know also charted in the U.S. He is one of many commemorated as part of the AIDS quilt. Shortly after his death, in 1996, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, a group mentored by Eazy and signed to Ruthless Records, dedicated the single The Crossroads to his memory, which went on to reach #1 on the Billboard charts and earn the group a Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group. In 2012, an Eazy documentary was released by Ruthless Propaganda, called Ruthless Memories. The documentary featured interviews with Heller, MC Ren, and BG Knockout. In the 2015 film Straight Outta Compton, Eazy is played by Jason Mitchell, and the film is dedicated in his memory. Eazy was portrayed by Omari Wallace in the 2016 film Surviving Compton, Dre, Suge and Michelle Lou. The film portrays Eazy sympathetically as having been a friend to Michelle Lou, in one scene warning her to get out of the house because he fears that a drunken Dr. Dre is returning home to beat her. In 2024, Eazy was awarded a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award posthumously as a member of N.W.A.